I'm Dr. Schroeder, and I'm going to go over how to apply a sweat wrap to the horse's leg. We're going to practice on the lower limb today, and a sweat wrap is often used if there's a lot of swelling in your horse's leg, if they have any trauma, sometimes a laceration on there. Anytime you want to sweat out or bring down the swelling in the leg. So what we usually do for these is you want some sort of sweat material or poultice type material. There's several products you can use. One of the more common things to use is a mixture of nitrofurazone, which is a yellow ointment, and some DMSO, which is a sweat material. And what we do is usually mix those about 1:1. And this jar already has some DMSO mixed in it, so we're going to use this as our sweat. They also make several poultices, clay wraps and things you can use to try to pull swelling out of the leg. The first thing I'm going to do, anytime we use this DMSO solvent, you want to wear gloves because it can absorb through your skin. So I'm going to go ahead and put some gloves on. So the first step is to use the ointment to put on the leg, and you don't really want to use it over an open wound, but if you have a wound somewhere else on the leg and the wound is already covered, you can put a sweat wrap over that. But usually we use this knot directly on a wound. And you want to take the sweat, and we'll say if this was a swollen leg, a lot of times they're swollen below the knee or below the hock, and you just take the ointment and lather it on a good thin layer around all surfaces of the leg. Again, using gloves. The next step is to use plastic wrap of some sort. I've used those long OB sleeves. Normally I just use some sort of saran wrap or plastic wrap from the store, and this is what holds the heat in the leg and helps draw that swelling out and hold the ointment on. So we just apply that around the leg loosely and hold that poultice on. And then just smooth it down. The next step is your padding layer. You want to use either a washable, what's called quilt or Novo bandage, or a disposable large cotton roll. You want something with lots of padding so that you can get some pressure on the leg to help bring that swelling down, but you don't get the bandage too tight to cut off circulation. So we use what's called leg cotton that comes in a big roll, and we cut it to about a 3-foot piece and then roll it up to make it easier to put on the leg. And it comes in usually 14 inches or 16 inches depending on how big your horse is and how big of an area you need to wrap. So you want to take the cotton and go from the front to the back to the inside. I try to remember FBI, front to the back to the inside, and roll the tendons to the inside. And I used to start right at the coronary band, at the hoof there, when I have lower leg swelling. And you want to apply that around the leg nice and evenly so that it's not bunched anywhere. Get it nice and smooth. And then we use what's called brown gauze, which is a non-stretchy rolled gauze. And we use this as our next layer just to get the leg cotton on a little bit more snug and nice and even. And again, going from the front to the back to the inside. And the trick with wrapping the leg is to always leave a layer of white padding above and below your tightening layer, again to help you from cutting off any circulation. And I'm doing it a little bit snug, but I'm not pulling it as tight as I can. I just want a little bit of pressure on there, kind of like a really tight sock. But I don't want the bandage to hurt or to cut off any circulation. Put that on until it's nice and smooth, and then follow with a self-sticking wrap. There's several brands out there. That wrap is a very recognized brand. It only sticks to itself. And this is the next layer to hold the bandage on. And again, I take some of the stretch out and let it spring back before I wrap nice and flat. Back a little bit. And then when you get to the end, just really push it on there so it sticks to itself and doesn't come off. And my last layer is usually, I use some sort of sticky tape. This is often called Elasticon. There's a couple different brands. It's a sticky on one side and not on the other. And we use this on the top and the bottom of the bandage to keep dirt and shavings from getting down in here, and also sticks to the hair and keeps the bandage from sliding up and down. So I usually put half of the tape on the bandage and half the tape on the hair or the skin, and go around once or twice. And cut it, just make sure it sticks to itself. And then again on the bottom to keep shavings and stuff from coming up the hoof. And this is not a tight layer, it's just on there firmly to, you just want it nice and stuck to the bottom and the top so that you have a layer there to keep all the debris out. And then we usually don't keep a sweat wrap on for longer than 24 hours because it might get too hot or cause too much moisture buildup. So this is something we put on, usually leave on overnight and then take off the next day. Depending on how much swelling is left, we may place another sweat wrap, or we may place a dry bandage the second day, depending on the injury. So that is the sweat wrap.